Why can't we make a top 10 Mega Man games list?
Why does Shane have to be on this list? He doesn't even care. I mean, it's not like he grew up with it or anything like I did.
Fuck him and his Mega Man. I'm just gonna fuck this list up. Yeah, I'll put Mega Man Soccer at number 1 even. That'll show him.
Mega Man Soccer.
That's it. Mutiny. If you're on the internet watching gaming videos on YouTube, then chances are you already know who Mega Man is and why his games are adored by so many people. So we'll spare you the history lesson and jump right into my top 10 favorite Mega Man games list. But this list is gonna be a little bit different from the others because I will only be including the numbered series 1 through 10. That's right, no Mega Man X series, no Game Boy games, not even Mega Man in base. Because, well, there's 10 games in the series. And I couldn't find a list that only consists of those, so here we go. Number 10.
God damn it.
Mega Man 1. If you could all just go ahead and put your pitchforks down, that'd be great, because I'm not talking shit about this game. It is fun, but literally every Mega Man game that followed this one is just more enjoyable. There's only 6 Robot Masters, no E-Tanks, these weird physics that hurl you to the ground immediately if you don't jump before platforms disappear, no cool names for the Robot Masters' weapons, these floating platforms that move at random which can theoretically make the game impossible to beat, my least favorite soundtrack in the series, the fact that it has an arbitrary score that erases as soon as you shut the game off anyway, and most importantly, no password system, meaning every time you put the game in, you're starting from scratch. And even if I was gonna be nostalgic about it, I didn't play this game as a child that much anyway. And every time I did find myself playing this game, I just wondered why I wasn't playing something else instead. And let's not forget about the cover art that has Mega Man being portrayed by some random dad. Actually, I like that, I'm not gonna lie. Still though, I appreciate this game for being the spark that started it all, and it's still better than most NES games. It's just the worst numbered Mega Man game in the series, IMO Rafflecopter. Number 9.
God damn it.
Mega Man 5. Oddly enough, this is the game I remember most as a kid, but that doesn't mean it's my favorite. The weapons in this game are easily my least favorite in the entire series, with the exception of Gravity Man's weapon. That's actually one of my favorites. And while we're talking about Gravity Man, his stage is a heck of a mess of fun, and it's very innovative for its time, unless it's ripping another game off that I'm unaware of. But the rest of the game, meh. Also, what's with the boss music? It hardly sounds like I'm about to engage in an epic battle. I feel like I'm going to the doctor. Seriously, this song always triggered that in my brain since I was a little kid. I have no idea why, but it does. The song's just kind of boring to me, and I always associated going to the doctor with boredom and having a grown man touch my balls. And that's not very fun, unless your doctor's the guy from the Mega Man 1 box art, but mine wasn't. I guess I'll just play Gravity Man stage, as long as I don't listen to the boss music. Number 8.
God damn it.
Mega Man 8!
This game came from an era where using full-motion videos and animation for cutscenes was finally possible, which caused a lot of developers to think that if their games didn't utilize this new option for storytelling, then their games weren't up to date. And naturally, this mindset created some of the worst voice acting anywhere ever.
Hey, Zach! Why must I fight you? We are not enemies!
A strange meteor has fallen to Earth just a while ago. Something this powerful must not fall into the hands of evil.
Did they just go outside their office and find the first person who walked by and ask them, hey, do you want to do a voiceover for a video game? I can't imagine how anybody would stoop to such unprofessionalism. Don't get me wrong, the shitty voice acting isn't why the game is so low on the list. It's actually my favorite thing about Mega Man 8, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I play games mainly for the gameplay, and if the story doesn't matter, it might as well be so bad to the point where it becomes good. I think the graphics are pretty nice and work quite well for 32-bit systems, and there's some catchy tunes here and there, but it's annoying being told when to jump and slide and hearing Power Shot every time I charge my Buster up.
Jump, fly.
It steams my ass just a little bit. If you get a chance though, it's definitely worth checking out. Number 7.
God damn it.
Mega Man 10. Whenever anybody mentions Mega Man 10, Mega Man 9 surely comes up and people talk about how awesome that game is, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I just think it's unfortunate that 10 is almost completely overlooked, and I never understood why. I always hear people making fun of Sheep Man for being corny, but for the same reason I like the voice acting in Mega Man 8, I love Sheep Man. Not so much his weapon, but just him in general. Also, Strike Man's theme is amazing, and you can play as Proto Man and bass. There aren't any levels that I hate, and all the bosses have reasonable patterns as opposed to random chaotic movement that can't be dodged. Sure, it's formulaic, but I don't mind that as long as it's a good formula. People were upset that they made the game just because it wasn't as good as 9. I don't care if it's as good as 9. Hell, I wish Capcom would make a new Mega Man game every year, or every other year at least. I wouldn't care if we got to Mega Man 30 as long as they were still pretty good. If you don't agree with that, then don't complain that Capcom isn't doing anything with Mega Man. Number 6.
God damn it.
Mega Man 7. What was it that Brentalfloss said? Oh yeah, this game sucks major dinosaur balls. Well, because of that, now everybody thinks of this as a shitty Mega Man game. Bologna, I say. Just because it isn't 8-bit doesn't mean it's not good. Sure, I don't really care for how big Mega Man's sprite is, but the graphics and music are beautiful, and the game is a lot of fun and very charming. Having all the rush upgrades for the fight with bass is a lot of fun, and the power-ups are just dandy, with the junk shield being my favorite. Not really. And this is the Mega Man game where they introduced bolts as currency, which is a great addition. Now we don't have to use the Eddy trick anymore to farm for energy tanks. And all the naysayers that don't like that you can only choose between 4 Robot Masters in the beginning instead of 8, to you I say there's a code you can put in to just get all 8 from the start, and it's 2015. Look it up. Furthermore, if you hold B when you select Shade Man stage, you'll hear the Ghosts and Goblins theme. Easter eggs, yeah! Number 5.
God damn it.
Mega Man 4. Much to the dismay of the naysayers, this is the point in the series where Capcom decided to commence with the milking of the Blue Bomber. The game to come out after Mega Man 2 and 3 had some pretty big shoes to fill, which is unfortunate because pretty much anything after 3 is unappreciated, but this is actually a damn good game. The soundtrack's one of my personal favorites in the entire series, and there's some pretty cool boss designs, with Skullman being the most notable. If I had to nitpick though, I'd have to point out that the charge shot was an unwelcome addition to the series. It's great and all, but it just kinda kills the pacing a tad to charge up before moving forward in the stage. Plus, charging the Buster interrupts the music a little bit, you know what I mean? Again though, it's just a nitpick, and I think it's unfair people claim Mega Man's 4 through 6 were a step down from 2 and 3, when in reality it was only Mega Man 5 that felt phoned in and rushed. Number 4.
God damn it.
Mega Man 3. With the possible exception of Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3 is probably the most memorable game in the series because it introduced Proto Man, who has the worst attack pattern in history, and instead of items 1 through 3, we now have Rush the Robot Dog, whose jet ability is overpowered as hell, but I love it. And the Robot Masters are pretty memorable as well, with Snake Man, Hard Man, Shadow Man, Magnet Man, and Gemini Man being some of the most memorable ones in the entire series, to me at least. And with good Robot Masters came some pretty cool weapons like the Search Snake, Magnet Missile, and Shadow Blade. But as you all know, fuck the top spin! There's a couple videos I've watched on YouTube trying to prove that this move is useful, but they always take damage when they use it against Shadow Man. I like the concept of it, but it was just poorly programmed is all I could really say. But as for Top Man himself, the battle's fun and the music to his stage is great. And since we're on the subject, the boss battles and music are great for the rest of the game as well. The fights with the Robot Masters feel fresh thanks to the new slide ability, making more possibilities for ways to face enemies, and the music to this game is probably all around my favorite in the series. However, just because a game is memorable doesn't mean it's the best. My biggest complaint with this game is the length. Some people like games to be longer so they can feel that they've got their money's worth, but I really hate it when a game feels dragged out just for the sake of dragging it out. And that's exactly how this game feels to me. After you beat the 8 Robot Masters, you have to play through the Doc Robot stages, which are basically just replaying slightly modified levels that you just got done with. And in the middle and the end of these stages, you have to face generic-looking robots that use the same attack patterns as Mega Man 2 bosses, without giving you their weapons, making this whole process feel entirely pointless. If I wanted to play Mega Man 2 bosses, I'd just play Mega Man 2, and if I wanted to play through these stages again, I'd just reset the game. With that being said, I still do love Mega Man 3, I just think it's a tad overrated. Number 3.
God damn it.
Mega Man 2. When people tell you their favorite Mega Man games, the number one pick usually comes down to 2 and 3. Since we just went over Mega Man 3, let's talk about Mega Man 2 and why I put it higher on the list. The improvements over the game that came before it were the biggest in the series by adding 2 more Robot Masters to the lineup, a password system, E-tanks, better music, and better weapons such as the Metal Blade, which is overpowered as hell, but I love it. But that's not to say that the game doesn't have room for improvement, because there's definitely some NES bullshit going on here. One instance being that it's impossible to dodge some of Airman's attacks. Quickman's lack of a memorable pattern is bullshit, and if you want to beat him without taking a hit, you're gonna need more luck than skill to successfully avoid his attacks. And not to mention Quickman's actual stage, where you're pretty much guaranteed to die until you remember exactly what's gonna happen on each screen. And this Wiley Castle boss here is total bullshit. If you don't use the pause glitch, you're guaranteed to take at least a few hits to beat him. And to make matters even more bullshitty, you can only use the Crash Bomb to beat him, and you need full weapon energy to do it. If you die, you're gonna have to farm for some weapon energy with some fairly difficult enemies to get another crack at it. Before people go off on me in the comments, yes, I know you can find videos on YouTube of people having 1 shot to spare, but your accuracy has to be perfect to pull that off, and the normal way to beat this boss requires 100% ammo for the Crash Bomb. And we are talking about playing on hard mode, which is the game's real normal mode. Now that I think about it, it is pretty nice that they gave you an easy option for people that just want to have some fun with a game they're unfamiliar with. Lastly on the bullshit list is that the game's final boss can only be beaten with the Bubble Lead, and if you run out of weapon energy, you need to get a game over to replenish it. Although, there is a lot more room for error than the previous boss. With way more complaints than Mega Man 3, it sounds like I'm trying to say that it's better than Mega Man 2. And, well, it is. So why is Mega Man 2 higher on the list, you ask? I don't really know. I just like it better for some reason. I can't really say it's nostalgia because they're both equally nostalgic for me. I guess I've just come to expect and accept the bullshit that comes with this game, and for some reason I just have more fun playing it over 3. Some mysteries in life weren't meant to be solved, I guess. Number 2.
God damn it.
I'm not sure if it's controversial to leave Mega Man 2 and 3 off the top 2 spots, but these last 2 games have the least amount of flaws, and to me are the most fun. Mega Man 6 picked up a lot of the slack that Mega Man 5 left us with, by giving us a well-balanced game and welcome new additions like the rush adapters and alternate pathways, as well as no bullshit boss patterns or cheap shots to be found anywhere in the game. It's not too hard to beat the bosses with just the Buster, which is off-putting for some people, but to me it's just not as much fun to start a game off and incorrectly guess which boss you're supposed to face first, only to have to come back later with the correct weapon. Still though, I'll admit that the bosses can be a little too easy, but the Robot Masters themselves are pretty imaginative this time around, since they were all designed by the fans who submitted their ideas to Capcom. The weapons might not be very memorable, but the game itself should be. Since it came so late in the NES's life cycle, most people dismiss it, which is a real shame since this is an easy Mega Man game for anybody to pick up and get into, and not because it's easy, which it is, but because it's fun.
Number 1, God damn it.
Mega Man 9. Why can't a newer game be the best in the series? We don't always have to take nostalgia into consideration with these things, do we? As much praise as this game gets, I think it's still underrated. But that's not why it gets the number 1 spot. This game is my favorite because, much like Mega Man 6, there's no cheap bullshit. And although the bosses have very beatable patterns with just the Mega Buster, about half of them provide a pretty good challenge, and more importantly, they're all fair. Every single special weapon in this game is useful, as opposed to some of the Mega Man games where you find yourself only using 1 or 2 here and there. Also, it was a pretty bold move not to include sliding or charge shots. A change that really simplified the gameplay, but for the Mega Man series, I've always preferred things to be kept simple. And even though I did like the slide ability, I didn't mind having to part ways with it. The music is as good as ever, and so is the level design. Since there's a lot of history and experience with the series at this point, they knew how to keep the challenge up and the bullshit down. The length of the game is perfect, and with the option to play as Proto Man, as well as having an endless attack mode, makes it hard not to put this at number 1. And even if you take nostalgia into consideration, this game is very nostalgic. For years, I've literally wished that they would make another 8-bit Mega Man game, but obviously I never expected that they'd actually do it. There's a cheesy story with some charming 8-bit cutscenes, and you even have the option to turn the flickering on or off. I mean, is that nostalgic or what? So any way I look at it, this game is easily my favorite in the numbered series. Now, if only they'd give us some kind of physical release instead of treating it like it's a spin-off. Well, there you have it. That's my personal list. Shane had no say because he didn't really play Mega Man games. But, yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you slightly disagree? Do you slightly agree? And remember, as always...
What happened? You did? You didn't make a man without me? You already did it?
I barely managed, buddy, but we were able to knock it out of the park.
What do you mean? What happened?
Well, you got really sleepy for some
You
reason.
included Mega Man Soccer, right? Obviously. Yeah.
I've gotten so much better at this game in recent years that I made Gemini Man run away. Just joshin'. The game glitched during my capture session, you turkeys.